A narcissist does not exist in the same way you or I do. They are not a person shaped by genuine experiences, emotions, or introspection. Instead, they exist as an elaborate illusion, a carefully constructed image designed to manipulate, control, and deceive those around them. At their very core, they are hollow, defined not by authentic feelings or a real sense of self, but by the persona they have painstakingly built over time. This persona is more than a mask. It is a survival mechanism, a tool that allows them to navigate a world they perceive not as a place for connection, but as a battlefield where every interaction is a contest for dominance and control. The narcissist's mask is never optional. It is central to their existence. Unlike psychologically healthy individuals who can reflect on their own behavior, admit mistakes, and grow from criticism, a narcissist cannot tolerate self-examination. To do so would mean confronting the terrifying truth of their inadequacy, their emptiness beneath the surface of charm and confidence. And so, they construct an identity that shields them from vulnerability. They must always appear successful, brilliant, and morally superior. Their stories cast them either as the hero or, when convenient, the tragic victim. But beneath all of this lies a person who is deeply insecure, emotionally stunted, and terrified of being seen as they truly are. Because their entire existence depends on this illusion, narcissists react violently when it is threatened. Even the smallest challenge can trigger rage, defensiveness, or manipulative behavior. This is not because the challenger is unfair, but because their words carry truth. That is what makes a strategically framed question so powerful. It bypasses the layers of performance, charm, and deception, cutting straight into the fragile foundation of their mask. For a narcissist, the right question is like a spotlight in a dark room, illuminating everything they strive to hide. And once illuminated, the illusion begins to crumble, revealing the stark, vulnerable reality beneath the surface. Consider the contrast. A truly confident, wise, and secure individual does not fear self-reflection. They welcome difficult conversations, engage in introspection, and confront their own mistakes without defensiveness. They can acknowledge flaws, wrestle with past errors, and grow from experience. A narcissist cannot do this. Their inability to self-reflect is precisely what exposes them. When you confront them with a question that demands honesty, one that challenges their perfection or moral superiority, they are forced into a corner. And no amount of charm, deflection, or manipulation can shield them from this truth. They simply cannot answer in the way a psychologically healthy person would. Imagine speaking to someone you suspect is a narcissist. They have presented themselves as intelligent, virtuous, and supremely competent. They manipulate conversations to maintain control, ensuring their image remains unchallenged. Now, pose a simple yet precise question. Can you tell me about a time when you were truly wrong about something, when you reflected and genuinely changed your approach? A normal person might pause, recall a humbling moment, and respond with honesty, even gratitude for the lesson learned. A narcissist, however, cannot. They might deflect with arrogance, twist the question into a story that reinforces their superiority, or react with irritation and confusion. But the truth is, they cannot answer honestly, because honesty would expose the hollowness at the core of their carefully curated self. Because to admit a real fault, to confront a genuine weakness, is to dismantle the carefully constructed illusion they have built around themselves. This is the truth that terrifies them the most. A narcissist would rather fight, deflect, manipulate, and deploy every tactic at their disposal than face the reality of their own inadequacy. They are masters of distraction, experts at turning the tables, and skilled at rewriting narratives so that they remain untouchable. But there is a way to bypass all of this, a way to expose them not through confrontation or argument, but through a question so simple yet so profound that it forces them into a moment of unavoidable truth, a moment where the mask falters and the fragile reality beneath it is revealed. And when that moment comes, you will see it immediately. Perhaps it is the flicker of panic in their eyes, a subtle shift in their tone, or the almost imperceptible tension in their body as they scramble to regain control. It is in that instant, brief but unmistakable, that their entire facade cracks. You will finally understand what you are dealing with. Because make no mistake, a narcissist is not strong. They are not inherently powerful. Their entire existence is dependent on the illusion they project. And once that illusion is pierced, they are suddenly exposed, fragile, and desperate. It is a terrifying realization for them, but an illuminating moment for you, because once you see through the mask, they can never deceive you again. A narcissist's engagement with reality is fundamentally different from that of a psychologically healthy person. While most people can reflect on their choices, admit when they are wrong, and adjust their behavior accordingly, a narcissist operates on an entirely different psychological plane. They do not merely fear introspection, they are structurally incapable of it. True self-reflection requires a stable, integrated sense of self, something a narcissist simply does not possess. This absence of an internal anchor explains why they react so violently when faced with questions that demand honest self-awareness. It is not mere discomfort they feel, it is a form of psychological self-preservation. To examine themselves honestly would be to confront the terrifying emptiness that exists beneath their performance. When confronted with a question that demands genuine reflection or accountability, a narcissist is psychologically cornered. They cannot answer truthfully without admitting something profoundly unsettling, that the powerful, virtuous, misunderstood persona they present to the world is nothing more than a fragile illusion built from fear. Beneath the mask, there is nothing stable to return to, no real self, no authentic core. Everything they are rests on the perception of others, on the careful curation of image, on manipulation and control. This is why they evade, deflect, rewrite history, feign confusion, or lash out with anger whenever the conversation edges too close to genuine introspection. The truth is unbearable for them because it undermines the very foundation of their existence. To see this in action, imagine posing a question to a narcissist that requires them to look inward. Something as seemingly simple as, what is the biggest lesson you've learned from your past mistakes? A self-aware person would pause, reflect, recall a specific experience, and share how it shaped their growth or understanding. They might even express gratitude for the lessons learned, acknowledging their own imperfections. A narcissist, however, cannot do this. Watch closely. They may freeze, deflect, or twist the question to emphasize their own brilliance. They might respond with sarcasm, anger, or a fabricated anecdote designed to maintain control of the narrative, but they will not answer honestly because they cannot. The gap between the illusion and reality is simply too wide, and the fear of collapse too overwhelming. The first common reaction of a narcissist when confronted with a question that threatens their image is deflection. Instead of offering a genuine answer, they respond with vague, meaningless statements like, "Oh, I've learned a lot over the years." When pressed for specifics, the deflection intensifies. They might shift the conversation, changing the subject entirely, or cleverly turn the question back on you. Well, what about you? What mistakes have you made? This is not an innocent conversational tactic. It is a classic manipulation strategy designed to avoid scrutiny by redirecting attention elsewhere. By doing so, they maintain control over the interaction while keeping the fragile illusion of competence intact, never allowing a crack in the mask to appear. If deflection fails, the narcissist typically moves into justification. Rather than acknowledging any real mistake, they reconstruct the narrative so that they appear either heroic or victimized. Statements like, "I used to trust people too much, but I've learned most people take advantage of you," illustrate this perfectly. Notice the pattern. Personal responsibility is never assumed. Blame is always externalized. By reframing events to their advantage, they protect the illusion of infallibility. This is their psychological armor. The narcissist is incapable of admitting fault because doing so would require confronting an unbearable truth, the reality of their inadequacy. Every justification, every reframing, every victimized story exists solely to preserve the facade of control and superiority. When deflection and justification fail, escalation follows. And this is where the true nature of a narcissist is revealed. The moment they feel exposed, they react with disproportionate anger, often lashing out with fury at the smallest perceived slight. Why are you interrogating me? Gaslighting is also common. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're just trying to start an argument. And if they sense their power slipping, they may resort to outright character assassination, attacking you to deflect attention from themselves. You always do this. You always try to make me look bad. Maybe you're the one with the problem. Every tactic, every reaction exists for one purpose: to avoid self-reflection, the one thing they cannot survive. A narcissist's entire psychological framework is designed to reject accountability. They rewrite history, cast themselves as victims, attack preemptively, and distort reality whenever the illusion of perfection is threatened. To reflect honestly would mean facing the terrifying truth. They are not exceptional, they are not flawless, and their carefully constructed identity is nothing more than a fragile performance. And here lies the ultimate takeaway. When someone refuses to engage in honest self-examination, cannot admit even the smallest fault, and reacts with evasion, anger, or manipulation instead of reflection, you are seeing narcissism in its purest form. Their response, or lack thereof, tells you everything you need to know. Strength, real strength, is rooted in the ability to acknowledge imperfection, wrestle with personal limitations, and grow from experience. A truly confident person does not fear accountability, truth, or difficult conversations. Only the insecure fear self-reflection because the truth threatens the fragile structure of their identity. In observing a narcissist, pay attention not to their words, but to what they cannot say. Watch not just their image, but how they respond when that image is challenged. A narcissist always exposes themselves, not by confession, but through their inability to answer a simple, honest question. Once this truth is visible to you, it cannot be unseen, and it will forever clarify their true nature. If your goal is to dismantle a narcissist's illusion, argument and debate are wasted effort. They are not interested in truth, reasoning, or fairness. They are interested in control. They seek to maintain the illusion that keeps them dominant and unchallenged. The only strategy that works is the precise, carefully crafted question, one that forces them to either admit reality, revealing their vulnerability, or falter in ways that expose the emptiness beneath the mask. At the core of this approach is understanding that narcissists operate through manipulation, not logic. Their world is governed by appearances and control, and to pierce it, you must bypass their defenses entirely, striking directly at the foundation of their illusion. A narcissist does not operate on the same intellectual playing field as you do. You might assume that presenting a logical argument, outlining facts, or appealing to reason would lead to meaningful engagement. But logic is irrelevant to them. What matters above all else is protecting their ego, preserving their carefully curated image, and controlling the narrative at all costs. They will lie without hesitation, contradict themselves without shame, and move goalposts endlessly if it serves to maintain the illusion of superiority. Their reality is not built on truth, integrity, or fairness. It is built entirely on perception. The consequence is that normal strategies of persuasion, reasoning, or moral appeal are utterly ineffective against them. So, how do you cut through this wall of deception? How do you bypass the narcissist's psychological defenses and force them into a moment of undeniable truth? The answer is deceptively simple. A single question framed with precision that they cannot answer honestly without exposing themselves. This works because a narcissist thrives in ambiguity, in conversations where meanings can be twisted, blame can be shifted, and emotions manipulated. The right question removes all ambiguity. It eliminates maneuvering. There is no escape, no clever pivot, and no distraction. Every possible response they can give either exposes the lie or reveals the weakness they so desperately hide. Consider the power of asking, "Can you tell me about a time when you genuinely apologized and changed your behavior because you realized you were wrong?" This is a profound moment. You are not attacking them. You are not accusing them. You are simply asking them to provide evidence of a quality they claim to possess: self-awareness, humility, the ability to grow. A psychologically healthy person might pause, reflect, and answer thoughtfully. A narcissist, however, stumbles. They hesitate, deflect, or twist the question into a counterattack. "Why are you trying to make me look bad? I don't owe you an explanation. Why are you so focused on the past?" This reaction is the tell, the unmistakable sign that their reflection is a facade. A person capable of self-awareness does not respond to an honest question with hostility or defensiveness. They may feel vulnerable for a moment, but they answer because they have nothing to hide. The narcissist has everything to hide, and when cornered, they panic. They cannot answer truthfully because the truth would dismantle the illusion they rely on. Yet they cannot outright lie either because the question demands evidence, and there is none. So they escalate through deflection, evasion, and aggression. And this is precisely where you gain clarity. You do not win by arguing or persuading. You win by observing, by simply recognizing the moment they are forced to confront their own incapacity for honesty. Once you witness this, you no longer need to convince yourself or justify your suspicions. The narcissist reveals themselves in their inability to engage with reality, in their inability to admit flaws, in the very defensiveness that betrays them. Understanding this is empowering because it illuminates the structure of their existence, a life built entirely on avoidance. Once you see it, you stop trying to reach them. You stop waiting for change. You stop giving the benefit of the doubt. You see clearly someone who cannot take responsibility for themselves. And with that clarity comes the freedom to walk away, not with anger or resentment, but with the serene knowledge that no amount of reasoning, evidence, or patience will ever alter someone who is fundamentally committed to avoiding truth. A narcissist's deepest fear is exposure, not mere embarrassment, but an existential threat. Their entire identity is a construct, a carefully curated illusion meant to shield them from reality, from the one thing they cannot face, the truth of their own inadequacy. When that mask falters, when they are confronted with honest reflection, they lose control, and the illusion collapses. This is why the right question is so powerful. It is not a weapon in a debate. It is a lens that reveals the truth. And once you understand this, once you witness it, you reclaim your power. Because no narcissist can maintain dominance over someone who sees them exactly as they are. When you ask a narcissist the right question, the one that forces them into a moment of truth, they face only two choices. They can either answer honestly, risking the collapse of the carefully constructed illusion they rely on, or they can react with hostility, evasion, and manipulation. More often than not, they choose the latter. And it is precisely in that reaction that their true nature is revealed. They will not merely sidestep the question, they will attack you for daring to ask it. They will make you the problem because, in their world, they can never be the problem. Their entire psychological survival depends on this inversion, on deflecting accountability to preserve the fragile facade of control and superiority. To see this in practice, imagine asking a narcissist, "Can you acknowledge one way you have hurt someone and what you did to make amends?" A reasonable, self-aware person might pause, reflect, and offer a measured answer. They might say, Yes, I lost my temper once and said something hurtful. I apologized and worked on managing my emotions better. The narcissist, however, will react very differently. Their first tactic is shifting blame. Instead of answering, they reframe the situation, casting themselves as the victim. They might respond, "Well, I wouldn't have said that if I hadn't been pushed," or "People have hurt me far worse than I've ever hurt anyone." Notice the pattern. Personal responsibility is never claimed. There is always a justification, always an external cause, and never an honest admission. If shifting blame fails, the narcissist escalates to deflection. They might say, "Why are you bringing this up now? This is ancient history," or "I think you're just trying to start a fight." This is not simply avoidance. It is psychological manipulation designed to make you doubt yourself, to feel unreasonable for even asking. And if that fails, if they feel cornered, rage and character assassination emerge. They may lash out with accusations, turning the conversation entirely back on you, mocking your concerns, invalidating your perspective, and attempting to make you feel small. Anything to divert attention from their own flaws and regain control. Every tactic is a performance, a desperate effort to protect the fragile illusion of superiority. This is what reveals the narcissist's psychological reality. They are not rational, self-aware individuals. They are incapable of confronting their own flaws, not unwilling, but fundamentally unable. There is no authentic identity beneath the mask, only a carefully managed performance designed to project strength, superiority, and moral correctness. When this performance is disrupted, even briefly, they will do anything to reassert control. Arguing with a narcissist is futile because they do not engage in discussion to seek truth, resolution, or understanding. They engage only to dominate, manipulate, and protect the fragile image they have constructed. Their goal is never honesty, it is always control. The real power in exposing a narcissist does not come from eliciting a confession. That will never happen. It comes from recognizing their patterns, understanding their tactics, and refusing to participate in them. Observing their evasion, blame shifting, and rage allows you to see the truth. They are psychologically incapable of accountability. Once you internalize this, you no longer need validation or closure from them. Their inability to answer an honest question is, in itself, the answer. You reclaim your power not by forcing change in them, but by refusing to be drawn into their manipulations. Understanding this shifts the balance entirely, leaving you in control of your own perception and response. A narcissist's entire psychological existence revolves around one central premise: control. Control over how others perceive them, control over the narrative, control over their environment, because control is the mechanism by which they maintain their illusion of superiority. The moment that control slips, even slightly, they begin to unravel. There is no faster way to disrupt them than to introduce something they cannot manipulate: the truth. They can twist others, charm them, or rewrite events endlessly, but the truth is immutable. When faced with a question or situation that demands honesty, a narcissist cannot bend it to their will. Their panic, evasion, and aggression in response are evidence of the fragility that lies beneath the mask, the thin veneer of dominance that only exists so long as control remains intact. A narcissist can manipulate emotions, charm others, and control perceptions. But there is one thing they cannot manipulate: reality itself. When confronted with a question that forces them to face reality, one they cannot twist, evade, or weaponize, they are suddenly left without a path of escape. This is where panic sets in, where the carefully curated persona they have so meticulously constructed begins to fracture. You may have witnessed this before. A seemingly simple, straightforward question, one that requires honesty and self-reflection, suddenly shifts the entire dynamic. Moments ago, they were confident, charming, even smug. Now there is hesitation, a flicker of panic as they realize the illusion is being challenged. The first line of defense is often outright denial. A narcissist will deny not only the question, but reality itself. Even in the face of undeniable proof, they will insist that events never happened, that you are imagining or fabricating the situation. To a narcissist, truth is not an objective reality. It is a tool to be manipulated, distorted, and shaped to serve their agenda. If the truth does not align with their self-image or goals, it is simply rejected. And when denial fails to preserve their illusion, they pivot to justification. They will acknowledge the action but refuse responsibility, claiming circumstances forced their hand or that anyone else would have acted the same way. This tactic shifts attention away from moral accountability and preserves their sense of superiority. If justification fails and they feel cornered, escalation follows. When a narcissist realizes they cannot talk their way out of reality, they move on the offensive. Crucially, they do not aim to defend themselves. They aim to destroy whoever is threatening their illusion. Projection is a common tactic. They accuse you of the very behavior they are guilty of. Gaslighting follows, with statements designed to make you question your own memory, your perception, and your sanity. I don't know why you're being so dramatic. That's not what happened. They escalate further by throwing insults, dredging up past mistakes, and sometimes threatening to sever relationships entirely. The goal is singular: to shift the focus entirely onto you and away from themselves. This is where most people fall into the trap. The instinct to defend yourself is natural. You may start explaining, justifying, or providing evidence to support your question. The moment you do, you are no longer holding the narcissist accountable. You are participating in the game they set. They control the rules, the narrative, and the endpoint. Every explanation you offer becomes another tool they can manipulate to maintain control. Recognizing this dynamic is critical. Any engagement beyond observation plays directly into their hands. The moment you stop defending, stop arguing, and stop justifying, you reclaim power. Their reactions are self-revealing: denial, justification, projection, rage. These are not anomalies. They are evidence of the narcissist's fundamental inability to confront truth. The truth is simple and immutable. If someone cannot answer a direct, honest question without resorting to denial, evasion, or attack, the answer is already in their response. You do not need to convince them, debate them, or prove the point repeatedly. Their behavior, the pattern of avoidance, blame shifting, and aggression, tells you everything. You see the absence of accountability, the lack of self-awareness, and the fragility beneath the surface. Observing this without engaging or reacting is where the real power lies. Understanding that a narcissist's goal is control, not truth, allows you to step back, detach, and see clearly. Their illusions crumble the moment you stop participating, and in that clarity, you reclaim your power entirely. Recognizing a narcissist for who they truly are is liberating because it allows you to reclaim control, not over them, but over yourself, your energy, and your mind. You can no longer waste time trying to make them see what they will never admit. You stop waiting for change that will never come. You see the truth, and in that clarity, you walk away, not out of anger, resentment, or defeat, but because you understand that real power lies in refusing to participate in a losing game. The moment you make this choice, you experience a freedom that no manipulation, guilt, or emotional coercion can take from you. This is your victory, quiet but absolute, grounded in self-possession rather than confrontation. A narcissist cannot handle exposure, but not for the reasons you might assume. It is not simple embarrassment or shame. Exposure threatens the very foundation of their existence because their entire identity is built on deception, both of others and of themselves. They do not merely tell lies, they are the lie. Every interaction, every persona, every carefully curated action is designed to maintain the illusion of superiority and control. When confronted with a question that pierces that veil, they experience a moment of forced self-awareness that is profoundly unsettling. They are confronted not just with your scrutiny, but with the existential truth of who they are beneath the mask. And this is where their instinctive response reveals itself. A narcissist will not calmly reflect or take responsibility. That would require humility, admission of fault, and acknowledgement of vulnerability. All intolerable concepts for someone whose identity depends on perfection. Instead, they will scramble to preserve the illusion. They will rewrite reality, recast themselves as the victim, and twist the interaction so that you appear to be the aggressor. A question intended to draw out honesty becomes the catalyst for a storm of accusations, blame shifting, and emotional manipulation. Suddenly, the focus is not on them, but on your tone, your intentions, your timing. They create doubt in your mind so that you question yourself rather than their actions.